Hello, today your trade of the day is going to be on Nvidia, but I'm going to cheat a little bit here because in the effort to try to teach here, I want to show you what happened on Micron. Now, obviously, Nvidia yesterday comes with their update and not looking good for the chip sector as well. It makes some big moves and it was in play. Micron, we get a bit of the same thing where their outlook on demand is not looking good for the sector and them in particular. Micron is gapping to the downside. So look, I like the space to the short side and I will get to a little bit of the changeover that I'm going to make. Usually I'll show you guys a higher time frame on Nvidia and then show you my Nvidia chart, but I want to show you on the same level Micron on the 3-minute and Nvidia on the 3-minute. Because oftentimes I've been asked, like, what's my favorite setup? And I usually tell people it's like a pop and fade type of idea. And the notion being, and over here on Nvidia, if I'm bearish on a stock and it's trending down, just to look for that little pop into the open, into pre-market resistance, and then that flush. Because the advantage of that type of a setup is you know where you're going to make that decision point. You know where your out is going to be when it approaches that high. Ignore these nonsense dark pool wicks. And then you have some semblance of where you want to take some take profits. You had a consolidation down here at 171. We're shorting into the 174 in front of 75. You're taking your clean couple of dollars scalp trade. You're holding out for the lows, and then you're trending for the rest of the day. Pretty simple concept here. But look at what happens over here in something like a Micron where you have a wider range. Similar concept, not nearly as tight in execution. I pulled it back, pulled it in so you can kind of see here. Ignore again the dark pool wicks. But Micron had this pre-market high way up there, just sort of testing above like 59.50 and resistance at 60 even on the gap down. In this case, the stock is gap down and you have so much more room to run. Violent move because it was in play, so as it's coming up, sure, I'm working into a short position, taking that pop, and then it's just breaking the stop out. Reverses, and eventually it's going to come back in here. Am I going to be able to get back in when it does the wick off top and then jumps and then fails? Yes. I'm able to get back in, we're able to scalp some out, then it trends for the rest of the day. But there is a very, very large difference between the nice, tight, easy, consolidated, gradual play into the upside after the open that happens on Nvidia versus right at the open, a huge spike up and then running into that level. Those are basically the same concept, the same sector even. Yet in this case, because it was in play, what you need to do when it's screaming up in that spot is just be able to back off and understand that let it slow down a little bit. You've got to be willing to miss the trade to make the trade the right way. Because when I've started in here at 59.5 and then adding in at 75, I basically put myself in a spot where I have to adhere to my stop to make sure that we don't actually get a big run and then just average into it, hoping it's going to fall in. If you just wait for it to slow down, test above that 60 level, knowing that it's a little more volatile right at 930, you can then work into that trade after on the consolidation down, and then no problem for the trend. So there's two ways that you can play this. You can either go to the sympathy play, which in this case, much easier, tight, and calm trade, and then gradually work it down, or be super patient when it is directly in play, and at 9:30, all hell breaks loose. So this was a good learning experience for me. I did have both the shorts. It's more like a 2 for 3 because I traded Micron twice, only had to do Nvidia once. Sometimes the easier trade or the more simple setup might not be the one that's directly in play that day. It could just be the better setup and the one you can hang on to. Nvidia ends up being your trade of the day, but definitely a learning experience for me on Micron. As always, trade of the day brought to you by Day Trade the World. Fantastic platform, fantastic access to capital, and of course, the ability to trade just about anything you want in the markets like these.